Hello, everybody. Just waiting for a couple more people to hop in and we'll get going.
Hey,
Hey, good morning.
good morning. What are you up to? What's your life about?
Girl, just all your rocket.
How's it going over there?
It's good. Man, January's been a good month for us, and we're super excited. So this Finish Strong Friday, we do this for everybody in the accelerator program. We've just opened it up to launch clients as well. And every Friday we talk to a special guest, just kind of about things that they specialize in.
Sure.
When I was thinking about 2023 and all things that we've got coming up, like big conferences, a lot of our clients are looking to speak on stage and really make the best out of 2023 when it comes to networking. And I was like, you know what?
I got this bitch who kind of talks about stuff. She just, she sometimes yells and screams at things and she's funny. So yeah, let's get her on.
And guess what? She's good at it. So we're going to talk to her. So people will hop in and out kind of throughout the call, but people will tune back into like the recording mostly.
Sure.
So anyway, everybody's just kind of in and out throughout the day, but we record it overall and get it sent out to everybody that's interested. So everybody may introduce to you Ashley O from Ashley Assists.
Wow, I'm sorry I dropped a curse word before we started. Cool. So
no, you're fine. Seriously, you're fine.
It ends up working out well.
No, this is what makes it authentic. We love it. I don't think I've had a Finish Strong Friday this year yet without curse words. So this is on brand.
It's a form of passion. It's a form of passion. Totally.
I heard people who curse are more intelligent anyway.
I read that article and that meme about 14 times this week. So just to make myself feel better. Yeah.
I quote it often. Well, Ashley, give us the spiel. Obviously I know who you are, but explain who Ashley O is and what Ashley Assist is all about to those that'll be tuning in.
Absolutely. So hi, everybody. My name is Ashley Owens. I'm a networking concierge. What the hell does that mean? That means that I network so you don't have to. My clients hire me to attend events on their behalf and with them to network effectively. Typically, the clients that hire me are the ones that they are fantastic at what they do, but they need that extra extension of them at those events, either as an associate or somebody who can help with the small talk. Ideally, the ROI that I provide them is, hey, we're going to go through everybody at this conference, every speaker, every potential vendor, who do we want to meet, and then being able to create a process to be able to attack that. So clients will hire me primarily for conferences to either go as an attendee, to either train their teams as a vendor, and then also to create what I like to call a networking audit. So a networking audit is going through, okay, we've got these 4 days. What events can we go to, and kind of planning out and creating the playbook for those 4 days, so that way you and your team know exactly how to make the most out of the event. And I manage all of that for you. Not the travel, but more of the agenda, and based off of everybody's personalities, right? So typically the clients I work with are introverts, because they are phenomenal at what they do, but the small talk drains them of all of their soul. And so my job is to provide that. So for example, I have a couple of clients in different areas. So I have a client who has me for about 20 plus events this year, and the only goal is to do a success is very different than a client that I had last year that needed me to do a little bit more on the strategic side. So for example, I can go as mentioned as a vendor, as an attendee, and then for this particular client, he just needs me to go to add people to his podcast, do a few other things, and be able to show success by certain metrics that he wants to hit. But there's no sales involved. Sort of is. There's sort of sales involved, but it's more of an engagement and more of a it's more of like having the company have a presence there.
You're assigning a face to the brand, right?
Right.
And you often hear that people don't want to buy your product, they want to buy you. And so people just people rent you out to be the face to their brand for a little bit.
I'm just getting pimped out all over the place. Essentially. No, but I also teach at Temple University. So I'm a professor over there. I teach personal branding. And then I also train teams. So teams, I have a client right now, I'm training an HR team. And then I also have another client that just called today. We booked that. They want me to train their interns that are coming in on how to network internally, and then also how to present themselves in a way. So lots of different things you can do. So just to keep it simple, excuse me, sir, your whining is not, you don't pay rent. Come here. For everybody who's watching, this is the person that takes up the most time of my money, and why I gotta charge 30%.
We love guest speakers.
This boy, you better watch yourself. Anyway, so as we go through, the process and how I work with clients, it's personality fit. That's really what it is. Gotta be a personality fit. But but that's me. That's
absolutely. So there's a couple things I want to comb through here just off of your introduction to, and we'll get to it. Like maybe picking like some top targets when you're at a conference of people that are going to be there, how you should narrow that down. And but first, let's talk about, obviously a lot of our clients are in the world of real estate. Some are not, but that being said, real estate is very people driven industry. Right. And not all real estate agents specialize in being a people person. Right. I've been thinking since last night on how to word that because I'm like, because real estate agents aren't people's people. They're not all a people's person. So now that I nailed that, what are some tips for, obviously they can't all just rent out Ashley every weekend. So what are some tips for kind of getting them out of their shell and pushing them out of their comfort zone for the most amount of impact and the least amount of dread for them?
What a great question. I love how you frame that. I'm going to steal it. So I love it. So the number one thing is people buy from people they know, they like, and they trust, right? We've all heard this. You're all in real estate. You all know how to do that. The challenge that a lot of real estate agents have is that you guys are in a very heavily saturated market. So you as a person need to stand out more than the average real estate agent. I would prefer to go through a referral than just a real estate agent in my area. I prefer to get somebody to tell me like, hey, you really want to work with this person because of X, Y, and Z. Fantastic. What I find that real estate agents that stand out the most are the ones that are calling me up every couple of months, being like, hey, Ash, how you doing? how's it going? Just in general, just catching up, right? Handwritten thank you notes I get from real estate agents more often, and you sure as hell but know that they're on my list of somebody that I can refer. If they put a concierge aspect to their services, I'm going to remember them more. My background is in film and television, so I used to work as a personal assistant to a couple of celebrities in New York, and I was able to see at that level what a PA would be, or what luxury is, and what the taking care of another human being at that level. And when I see that emulated, even just in the smallest way, that immediately sticks out to me as somebody who knows what they're doing, but who also cares about what they're doing. I'm not talking about sending out stuff. I'm saying a handwritten thank you note, or like, hey, I'm calling you up and saying how everything moved in. How are you doing? Like, those are very, very big key indicators that you care about what you do and you care about the person that you're chatting with. When it comes to networking for yourself, think about the top 10 industries that are relevant to your field that you can share clients with. So a real estate agent has fantastic strategic partners with a divorce lawyer. Why? Because if you're upsizing or downgrading, they're going to need somebody in that space, right? So when someone's getting, if we use that as an example, someone's getting divorced and they need to sell their home, fantastic. What else do they need? Probably a moving company, probably a junk removal company as well. So you got to have those two kinds of people. Maybe a organizer for the new home that they're going to be getting into. Maybe somebody who is maybe a driver. You know, things that allow them to say, okay, I've got these 15 vendors that are very, very close to me. Let me refer you to them to help you with the other problems that you're probably going to have when you do this act, right? Maybe a financial advisor who's going to be helping them specifically with a woman who maybe didn't work for the majority of her life because she was married. So providing those kinds of strategic partners and keeping them abreast in your network is going to be very, very helpful for your client in so many more ways. So having 10 strategic partners that you can swap in and out and then match off of personality to your client is going to give you more power and more leverage. And also it's going to provide you with the viability to be as good as you are. So it's important to stand out in a way by having the resources and the tools to be able to help this person get to the next step.
I love that you brought up a divorce lawyer, because there are so many creative ways you can get with relationships and marketing. Everybody loves a referral. I had the referral program with Sphere Rocket, and it's huge for our company. It's huge for our clients. Everybody wins in that aspect. But you know, there's so many fun ways to go about partnerships like that. You know, even with like small golf tournaments, we were talking about running a charity golf tournament here in Nashville coming up in May. And they're like, we want a divorce lawyer. And I was like, why do you want a divorce lawyer as a sponsor? They're like, because we want the whole to be like, is your wife pissed that you're here? Give me a call. Right. And I'm like, and we have so many realtors that are going to be at that event. I'm like, oh, that's literally brilliant. That's literally,
it's that
tag off of that marketing, and it's hilarious. People will talk about it,
but think about what just happened. It's been years, and that's the first example that you bring up, right? So networking is a marketing opportunity, not a sales one. But also with what Sphere Rocket does, and why I love you guys so much, is that you provide such a helpful and needed service to anyone in that industry, because real estate agents, as many as people, as much as I hate to say this, suck at the follow-up, right? You suck at it. And so with that is, so with Sphere Rocket and how you guys use your team to be able to help them bridge the gap between the starting point to the ending point, the money's in the follow-up. The relationships are in the follow-up. And so having processes and SOPs associated with that and using the team at Sphere Rocket to be able to facilitate those things will make you stand out, will give you that concierge.
Yeah, of course. And you know, there's a lot of ways to use that, and like the CRM, we obviously there's so many masterminds that just drill the basics into realtors' heads, and at the end of the day, it's about just doing it right. If you dread it, which a ton of people do, leverage out a VA to do it for you, because I promise you there is an extrovert somewhere out there dying to do the things that you hate. And another one of these things is a lot of real estate agents and just people in our network in general attend many, many conferences every year. And of course, the goal is networking, learning. And you talked about how you'll sit with your clients and you'll say, okay, who's on our target list? Who do we want to connect with? So even as like an attendee or maybe a speaker at one of these events, how do you narrow down who's the most important to talk to and who the most important person is or people to pour your energy into, and why that would be the best ROI, focusing on a short list compared to as many people as possible?
Great question. So ideally, when you go to a conference, you have your particular target market, right? But then you also have who's a good strategic partner. So remember, we talked about those 10 industries that are relevant to your field. Those are the kinds of people that you want to meet. The only people that you're going to be able to see before you get there are the speakers, right? And if they fall in line with either those two buckets, then the goal is that you want to connect with them in some way, but there's a value add. So that value add could be, I've got this great podcast I'd love to interview you on, because that is a value add rather than like, I'd like to get on the call with you and do blah, 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 whatever. Or it could be, and to go back to your question, how to find them. Well, obviously you have the speaker list, but it's the stuff that you do beforehand to also recommend like that you would want to meet with them. So for example, let's say, you were going to go speak at a conference and it's about 2 months away, right? About 60 to 90 days away. You reach out to that person through LinkedIn or through their email and say, I see that you're speaking at this conference. I've been following your stuff for so long. I would love 10 minutes with you to introduce myself. Would you be willing to have I'd like to buy a cup of coffee, right? While you're there, keeping it simple, keeping it humanized. They may respond, they may not, but you can continue to follow up 3 or 4 times. And if they don't, then at least they'll know that, they're going to be a little harder to find when you get there. But here's a tip. The best networking I've ever done is after a speaker gets off the stage, like after they're done, they typically will walk off the stage and then get bombarded by a bunch of people. It's only until after they leave the room where they're alone, essentially. So wait outside. Wait outside. So if there's a couple of speakers, like maybe there's a speaker and there's a panel discussion. So if you think of the logistics of it, they're going to get off. They're not going to be on the panel, but they're going to leave essentially the session. And if they're leaving the session, you're standing out there saying, hi, it's so nice to meet you. And you're actually getting them alone in some way. Sure. The best person. So recently I was at a conference and my client asked me, he's like, hey, it'd be really cool if this person can come to our event that we're hosting. I said, okay, no problem. Let me see if I can stalk him a little bit. So I found out where he was going to be, the speaking presentation that he was going to be speaking at. I had no interest in listening to it because it's an area that I don't need to pay attention to. My focus needs to be on the location of this human. And so afterwards, the value add that my client has is his amazing podcast that has hundreds of thousands of listeners. And all I asked, I was like, hey, I'm not gonna say his name because it's proprietary, but like, hey, hi, my name is so-and-so, I work with so-and-so. What does it take to get you on a podcast? What does it take to get you on our podcast? And he was walking and talking, and I knew by the tone and by his cadence and how he spoke, because I listened to him for a few minutes, that this was the approach to use to meet him where he's at. And when you meet somebody where they're at, you're able to mirror them so they feel comfortable and safe with you. And so by using that tactic, he's like, oh, no problem. Let me get your, you can just email me. Okay, great. What's the best email for you? So I already had it up and ready to go so I can capture their information. He goes, oh, just text me. Even freaking better. So I got him on the podcast. And then I said to my employer, I said, you want him at the event? I go, yes. I said, hey, so-and-so, such a pleasure meeting with you. And I knew that he had a new girlfriend, because they talked about, not in a bad way, but like get a new girlfriend. And I knew her name. I found out her name. I was like, hey, a pleasure to meet you. We'd love to invite you to a VIP dinner tonight at this time. Here's the location. Please invite your girlfriend, Megan. We'd love to see her. Not only did they show up, but I get a little drunk and I danced with the girlfriend to Whitney, because I was like, DJ GQ, can you please play Whitney? Because she looks like a Whitney lady, meaning that she'd enjoy, I want to dance with somebody. And she did. And so now their experience with the team is now more enjoyable. It's less business-like. It was a simple ask. And I did it strategically in a way that seems simple, but there's a lot of human behavior aspect that goes with it. So when you're trying to go to an event and you're doing a conference, it's going to be the pre-planning that's going to be helpful. And then also the acknowledgement that it can all go to shit the day you walk in. There's only so much planning you can do at a conference. You may get invited to another event. You may hear about another event that is in the middle of the day. You may find out one of your clients is here, so you do a client meeting. Just know that if you have the framework, your team can still continue to activate on the agenda while you go ahead and meet with the other people as well. So just knowing when you go to a conference, you can only plan so much and it can all go to shit.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think, that's obviously in the aspect of, all of us do events. Obviously, Sphere Rocket comes from a vendor perspective. Our clients come from an attendee perspective, and some of them are speakers. And so they understand that with those big conferences, you have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, right? And so, and that's in just every industry in general. So I think that that's a great point of view. And also, I would like to point out how Ashley broke that down, right? So everybody thinks that extroverts just have this magical power, right? That there's just anybody just opens up to them and and it's just that easy for us. And to be fair, it comes more naturally, yes. But Ashley just did research, right? She just meets people where they're at, right? Take a look at their LinkedIn. Everybody's got a Facebook, dude. Everybody's got a Facebook. You just got to try a couple different keywords. You're going to find them. See what they're up to. See who maybe you have mutual friends with, right? The other day I got a referral for Sphere Rocket, and we both come from the music industry. And what a great way to connect and have him have immediately more interest because now he's personally involved, right? It's just, again, I love that. Meeting people where they are. It is what it is, and being prepared for when you're ready to swap that contact information, because I think as realtors, we all know that a business card isn't always efficient.
No,
Good to have, but there is no call to action on it.
I don't mean to plug phone sites, but I love phone sites. I was such a pain in the ass about business cards. I'm like, business cards are stay, it's gonna be this is how you follow up. I tried it for one conference. I'm like, let me just see, and I will never go back. It is the most of, and it's a way to see ROI. It is the only, and I mean, one of the biggest challenges sometimes I have with clients, depending on where they're at, is like, when it comes to networking, you really have to be creative about the ROI, because I'm not closing anything. I'm providing the leads. I'm also providing the strategy to get you in front of the people that you want to get in front of. But the ROI is based off of how many clicks, how many people drop their information, how many, meetings did we schedule, things like that. And that allows you to see it. So when you're preparing for an event like this, use, especially if you're a speaker, because I know Justin does a ton of speaking, and I'm sure you guys have all that systems and lockdown and all that. But for people who haven't, had a chance to see Justin speak or see any of your other employers speak, having a call to action and having a follow-up process and having a standard of how you do that is so imperative, and getting help from Sphere Rocket to be able to have and facilitate good follow-up practices is going to be so helpful. But for real estate agents, you pride yourselves at being fantastic networkers, but very few of you do the work on the back end. The front end, you got covered. You're typically extroverts. On the back end, it's the attention to detail, it's the care and consideration, and it's not the abundance of how many people you have, it's the quality of how many people you have. And being able to build up that networking equity with those strategic partners, so if it does not work out, you still left a good taste in their mouth, because at the end of the day, referrals are where the money is as well. So that's kind of how you got to frame it out.
And I'll tell you, it's so random when you come to people's minds, right?
Yeah.
I have somebody, he's a music producer that we've been chatting on and off for years. And he's like, yeah, I'm ready to leave the big city of LA. I'm looking to retire in Ohio. I'm like, perfect. Let me know when you're ready to start looking at houses, because I'm going to refer to you, like off the top of my head. I was like, Nicole and Dan Ward, who are our clients. But, I'm sure we have a lot of people in the Ohio real estate market here, but Dan and Nicole have gone out of their way to make a personal relationship with me and make themselves stand out, that, oh, we're Ohio, right? And like, that's just somebody that I have my real estate license, but I'm not active in it. But just knowing off the bat, right? Like, it's just natural. People want to relate to you. Like, I know so-and-so, right? Here's someone
Yeah.
that can help. They get eager to have that something in common with you. And I think that it's important to make sure you're on the follow up and the branding itself, relationships with everyone, even somebody who never stands a chance to be your client. I'm never moving to
Right.
Ohio.
Right. But you also have to be okay with that person not becoming your client too, which is a whole other mindset shift that a lot of people struggle with. And
Go
right,
into that, please.
yeah, and saying like, I'm willing to walk away from this potential deal for the betterment of this particular person.
Mhm.
And when you get to that level of understanding that you can say, listen, we may not be a right fit, but I got 3 people you love. So what I typically do, and this is how I build strategic partnerships around the speaking circuit, because I speak at conferences all the time, and I get these deals with, other organizations, and I say, I know you're going to need speakers in the future. What kind, what area do you want to discuss? Like, what area of presentations do you need? I've got somebody in leadership. I've got somebody in branding. I've got 4 women right now that would crush a stage. And if I can get them in as well, I'd be happy to create a deal. And I've done that time and time again, saying like, if you want me, you definitely want her, because I stay in this lane. But then also, if I'm not a good fit, I got 4 other people I'd be happy to make the intro to. And I can confidently say that because I know I'm the best at what I do in this area, and they're the best at what they do in that area. And I'd rather my potential prospect be happy with the engagement rather than have me come in and then them being upset at the topic because it wasn't what they wanted. So it allows the relationships and the camaraderie to build because I'm providing that kind of referral.
Call back to the beginning when you said, they should partner with divorce lawyers, moving companies, junk
Yes.
removal. Hello, right? And maybe those clients go to your divorce lawyer first, right? And they're like, oh God, I'm gonna need to move, right? They don't even know who you are yet. And that divorce client says, hey, I'm glad you came to me because I'm going to get you the fairest deal out of this. Like, there's a lot of emotions in divorce. This sucks. Let's talk to my buddy and he's going to take great care of you. He's going to get you into the house. He's going to hook you up with the best financial, planner, mortgage lender, whatever that is for you. And like that, they just apply to so many, it's like I don't even know how to explain it. Many, many branches to this aspect. And the more that you're networking, it's not just clients.
No,
It's not.
no.
It's not everybody you're going to make money from. In fact, sometimes you're going to spend money.
Yeah, but you're doing it in a way because you know that not only is it the right thing to do, but remember, people are people. I tell my students all the time at Temple, I said, look, you're welcome to get a business degree, but you might be better getting a psychology degree, because who runs companies? People run companies. When you know people, you know business. And so it allows you that's the foundation of anything ever at all times is people. So if you work on the person rather than working on that business aspect, you're going to be fine. One story, excuse me, did you just eat something else? Oh my goodness, these dogs, I swear. What did you brought in? Oh, thank you for the treat. The other thing that one story I love telling because it's so true is that your network is not just the power that you have and the referrals that you give and like the partnerships that you have the pleasure and the privilege of having, because how lucky are we to have a network. But I got divorced. And so at the time, I'm Irish Catholic, you keep it close to the chest, and I tried to keep it quiet. I just kept it, to myself because it wasn't anybody's business. And I'm still working through some things. And I had reached out. I have a list of about 60 people that I do during the pandemic that I was on mailing lists with, because I was doing these virtual events every week. So it was a great way for people to continue connection. So I shot them all an email. I was like, hey guys, I'm actually currently looking for a self-employment insurance. Like I need health insurance because at the time I was coming off of his and I wanted to kind of like prepare that. Nobody knew that, or so I thought. So within the first email that I sent out, just asking for a quick referral, I got 14 emails, 7 text messages, and 3 phone calls saying, what do you need? Because they knew without me actually knowing. They're like, here's the person that you want. Here's the person that you should definitely reach out to. We'll make the introduction. And they said, what else do you need? Well, I actually need that. Got you covered. Mm-hmm. We're taking care of it for you. So the network saved my life. And I cannot stress that enough, because at the end of the day, all of that comes back when you put the effort into it. All of these people became very close friends, but then also if they were to send me anybody, I'm taking care of them to the utmost of my ability. And that provides a great networking equity, but it also provides just a good human experience. And at the end of the day, that's all we strive to do, is to be of service.
And I love that because they get like a little more special VIP care, right? From the partners that you are aligned with. And, that's again, just the great callback to you and your brand, and a reminder of how you treated them when it's time for, that phase in somebody else's life, or the need for that service in somebody else's life that they know of.
Empathy. It's the empathy that happens, right? You can be empathetic.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Ashley, obviously you're a pro at a lot of things. So what are some of the topics that you teach in your college courses that, we may benefit from today? What are some specialties?
Specialties. All right, so I teach personal branding at Temple, but with a heavy dose of networking, because I want to give them the practical experience, because anything I teach them on personal branding this year is going to change in a year. Like, it's going to change. So I give them the soft skills that they need to be able to facilitate better opportunities after they leave. The other thing I teach on how to not suck at networking. That's the name of the course. I have a course on Teachable, and then I also train individuals how to do that. But I also I have a couple different topics that I talk about, which is growing your group of champions to become your army, how to not suck at networking, internal communication and networking. So how to network internally in your company, and the benefits of an internship and how to network in an internship. So it comes at different level phases. So while you're in school, when you get out of school, while you're in the company, and then how to really enhance what you're doing. I've got clients that will work with me on I have a client, she's lovely. She's just the coolest. She and I sit down for about 3 months, and we work every Fridays, and we just do a workshop where we go through, we talk about her personal brand, but then we also really identify the key players in her life that she can connect with and can continue to communicate with. So it becomes less of a training and more of a coaching. And that allows me to meet her where she's at, right? That's what we always want to do. But those are the specialties. I don't teach 30-second pitches. I do, because I think it's bullshit. I think that people need to know who they need to know, like, and trust you. So be a human. And I stay out of the business development's part of it, but not the sales aspect. I do have some sales tips and tricks, but I'm not an expert in that. I don't ever claim to be, and I just stay in my. I don't do motivational speaking unless I get asked to, and usually then it's very hard for me to do motivational speaking, because everybody does motivational speaking about, I have all of my limbs. What the hell am I going to talk about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's only so much I can do, but I can talk to women in business and giving my perspective, but I do not claim to be an expert on any of that. Just the
Absolutely. And so, when it comes to real estate, and people have teams, right? People recruit and they have teams. And so, but obviously, it's tough when you're in an industry that you're working on commission, right? And your team is also low key your competition. So how would you go about networking in that kind of environment?
I think having a conversation and sitting down with somebody and say, look, we can either work against each other or we can work with each other. What are your strengths? What are my strengths? How can we come together and close a big deal? How can we come together and again, it could be depending on personalities. Friendly competition is always awesome, but also providing some sort of help and making sure that, again, you're meeting them where they're at, but also that everyone is aligned with supporting each other. Maybe there are going to be certain people that go to you that don't go to me. There are certain people that will go to Justin that don't go to you, right? So and vice versa. So how do you maximize personalities? And then also being able to say, look, I want to support, that we're here together as a team. How can we support each other? And having those sit down conversations with that team is helpful. I know it isn't always possible, but at least if you start it and set the tone, I think there's definitely potential of having more of a teamwork aspect. Your personality is going to be how you network, right? If you are an introvert, you are a better networker than you or me. If you're an introvert, you are a better networker because you have the ability to talk to somebody one-on-one and be very, very intentional about the conversations that you have. Extroverts can do some of that, but at a grander scale. We can do, and we can multiply our personality to everybody else around us. And we also have a tactical way of going about and being strategic. Introverts are phenomenal networkers if you put them in the right spot and bring them to the right people. So
So
just
as an introvert, how do you feel that you get yourself into the right spot? Because extroverts, we just have a knack, like a nick,
yeah,
right? But
Yeah.
as an introvert, like you said, they can be very intentional about the conversation, but the getting to the conversation can be the tricky part for them. So, how do you be intentional about getting yourself there to talk business, to talk referrals without, having the sales breath, the 30-second sales pitch that you were talking about?
You network online.
Mhm.
You schedule one-on-one meetings. You don't have to go to every single networking event with 14 people because that will overstimulate you and not put you at your best. So if you're going to do and you're going to have and do a networking, you want to do a smaller group. You maybe want to create your own mastermind of people that you like and you trust that have already, bridged the gap of that boundary. And then use that and start with that mastermind of like 10 to 15 people to continue to build on it with new people attached to it. Because now your network will grow slower, but it'll be very more intentional, more quality. To going into events, pacing yourself and having a plan of the people that you want to meet. Maybe the 5 people that you want to meet and just focus on that and let the extroverts go to all the cold people. So it allows you to be triple down on your strengths rather than trying to overcome what you think networking is and just work on like where you're comfortable, but also where you thrive. If you thrive in a workshop, do the workshop. If you thrive in watching a speaker present, go for it. You learn something and then you can meet with the speaker afterwards, but don't overdo it if you don't have to.
I love that. And, as we approach summertime, there's going to be so many golf tournaments to sponsor. There's going to be so many home shows to sponsor. There's going to be sports games and sports leagues to sponsor and stuff like that, where you can have a pop-up and essentially as a real estate agent, you become a vendor, right? Bye, C, thank you. So as from that vendor perspective, as a real estate agent, how do you get your team to make the most out of such a fun event, right? People are there to golf, people are there to drink, people are there to have fun. So how do you make an impact on them in an area they don't want to talk about your business? They're thankful for you making the event happen, but that's it. That's what it feels like anyway.
So be the version of yourself that you can be proud of while you're there without selling them anything, because they're going to remember you, not what you do. Nobody gives a shit about what you do, to your point at these events.
Yep.
The process is in the follow-up after the event to have that one-on-one. If you made already a great impact and you decide to say, hey, you know what, I actually want to continue a conversation with this person to maybe talk about business, do it a week after the event, where everything, the hype has come down. Be you at those events, talk to those vendors, chat them up about life in general, and say, and don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Unless they ask you what you do, keep it short and simple. Be like, man, I just want to kind of drink you want.
Yeah.
And just be the person that you could be proud of and be yourself, because at the end of the day, it's going to be in the follow-up where you actually want to do business. But at those events, nobody gives a damn. And don't force it either. Don't force it, because that's going to be the kiss of death.
Right. Absolutely. And, it's important to, be there, be present.
Yes.
Support. That's again, your personal brand, right? Personal brand, right? So being who you are, talking to people when they approach you, but nobody wants to feel like they're being attacked by a kiosk at the mall, right? That's a horrible aspect. And talk about like pressured buying, but nobody can buy a house just to get you to shut up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Agreed. And when you're purchasing, and even when we're talking about real estate, when you are putting that much money down, and buying a home is not fast. It is a long, arduous process. And sometimes people are putting their entire life savings into your hands based off of your expertise on this particular home, and they're putting their livelihood in your hands. There needs to be a catering and a concierge aspect to it. Otherwise, you're going to lose them and they're going to lose all trust in you. And if that happens, you're screwed. So when you think of the human aspect to what you're doing, think about how you would want to be treated when you're putting down thousands of dollars on a potential forever home for you and your family. And that becomes so much more emotionally driven than just giving a business card and saying, call me when you need to buy a house or call me when you need to sell a house. So if you take that as a serious concept in your business development, your whole world will change rather than you just saying, I want to buy and sell a house. Now, commercial real estate's different because commercial real estate's more B2B, right? So that's going to be a little bit more of a transactional activity. But if you're talking about real estate and buying a home, depending on where everybody is, you're not going to meet, a bajillionaire every time you go out to a networking event. They're not there. They're sending us, right? They're sending us to go to these things. So the goal would be, how do you maximize your personality where you're comfortable and you're proud that anybody that you have the pleasure and the privilege to meet, that they feel like they walked away with a smile on their face, because that is a first impression and a lasting one.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think that we've covered a lot of valuable information today, because, everybody, a lot of our speakers come from the aspect of real estate and coaching and, transaction coordination, social media geared towards real estate. But at the end of the day, these people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars to be at conferences and events. And I think the most important takeaway from this call, all things are important, but is to have a goal from these conferences, right? Because if you roll in like, yeah, maybe I'll meet some people. Yeah, maybe. Or you might spend some time too much time at the blackjack table by yourself, not really getting the benefit.
$1,200 on an event to go to, plus the travel, plus you better come back with something. And right. it could be a learning experience. It could be, you could have met nobody of value, but that's okay. That happens. Like that's the other deal, is that when you go to these conferences, it's yes, having a plan, but then also being flexible enough to pivot if you have to.
Yeah.
And when needed, because it's going to happen. So, planning it out the best of your ability, but every event and everything that I get, I have the privilege of being hired to go to. You go there with an expectation, like, you plan for the worst and hope for the best. And then it ends up being a great experience when you can don't shoot for the stars, shoot for mediocrity. And I'm saying in your head, and then over deliver, because when you over deliver, it's going to feel like a really good event.
I love that. I think that this has been a very valuable conversation. I've learned a lot myself as the business development manager here at Sphere Rocket. I love the idea of goals in mind. And does anybody have any questions before we let Ashley go?
Stephen Otter AI, do you have any questions?
I think Otter AI, I think it takes notes for him.
It does. Yeah. Hey, Stephen, how you doing? Goodbye. Yeah, it's
specifically talking to you. XO Stephen, as we're logging off this call. Cool. Well, awesome. Well, if you guys have questions for Ashley, reach out to me. I will connect you guys. Ashley, thank you so much for your time today. This has been wonderful. I miss you. I wish we got to do this live in Texas.
I know.
But we'll be in touch soon. And again, if anybody's looking to connect with Ashley, let me know. And Ashley, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye.